Good morning and welcome to Morning Java, brought to you by our friends at the Getco Cafe and Market, where they have curbside pickup. You don't have to go into, the actual store. You just order it off the app. It's where you get your subs. It's where you get the good stuff, right? Don't actually have to go inside. They'll bring it to you. It's awesome. Derek Shelton, we got a chance to talk to him this week, and he brought up that, in the 60-game baseball season, it's going to be a sprint. It's not going to be a marathon like normal. It's a sprint. So each team's strengths and weaknesses are really going to be extrapolated more than you normally would see. So, Jeff, whenever you look at this Pirates club, where do you think some of those strengths are?
That's a tough question to ask for the Pirate fan because Pirate fans are automatically pessimistic. But I feel like they're very even in terms of like what they bring to the table. I do struggle to find some serious strengths. I think their bullpen this year is going to be a strength if Birdie and Kyle Crick can come back and they're healthy and they can get through the 60 games. But I have questions and reservations about things like power. They might be able to hit for average, but you do want those power numbers there, and I just don't think they have that readily available. Now, Gregory Polanco being healthy will certainly help with that, you would think. But, who's the fifth starter going to be in the rotation? I don't know. What do you view as their strengths heading into this shortened abridged season?
I think you hit the big one with the bullpen because Crick, where he was in 2018, I think it's far more likely we'll see that version of Crick than 2019, especially since he's, learned finally that he was tipping some of his pitches. Nick Birdie, if he is healthy, that is a monster to add to your bullpen right there. And Kella, I think he's kind of a forgotten man in this bullpen because he missed, a good chunk of last year. But whenever he was on, he was devastating. And then you mix in guys like Rodriguez, and that's a pretty solid group right there. You're going to play a lot of 6 and 7 inning games, which is what the Pirates need to do to win. As for the power, it is a definite concern because this lineup has really two power bats, and that's Josh Bell and Gregory Polanco. And Gregory Polanco doesn't exactly have a great track record of staying on the field. I think a shorter season would benefit from that, less wear and tear on the body. Same with Josh Bell. We kind of saw him start to fade until he got a couple days off after the All-Star break. From that, April and May tear through the rest of the year, he kind of went to like a 6-week kind of lull where he was just a good hitter instead of one of the best hitters in baseball. I think, and I know I keep saying this, I think catching is actually going to be kind of a strength for this club, which is interesting because Jacob Stallings and Luke Maley don't inspire anything with the bat, but they are so good on the defensive side of the game and at managing a pitching staff that I think the positives outweigh the negatives.
As a former catcher, I don't know if I agree with that. I've seen some great catchers, and I don't know why it seems like the Pirates are so against drafting and developing a really good overall catcher that can both hit and have good defense. It just seems like anymore it's this guy's a great defensive catcher, but he can't hit worth a lick. You just hate to surrender that in your lineup when you're talking about offensive skills. But you know what? The strengths are there. I hope fans realize that the strengths for this team, they do exist. You might not believe it, and it might be I'll believe it when I see it. And, hey, we all have our reservations about the Pittsburgh Pirates. But at the same time, there are strengths, and we just listed a few. All right, so we just talked about the strengths of the Pirates. And, yes, I might have struggled a little bit to find some of those. But the weaknesses, on the other hand, well, we could probably spend a lot of time on that, but we're not going to really – let's narrow it down. Like, what are the biggest weaknesses about this team? I have mine. You have yours. What is your biggest weakness for this Pirates club going into the season?
The biggest weakness where I compare it to two things that I think nobody really talks about. Okay, we can talk about the starting rotation. We can talk about the pitching or the power in the lineup. We could go through those. Those are kind of generic answers. Two things I think kind of were underappreciated or overlooked. Infield defense last year wasn't really good. Adam Frazier was justly nominated for Gold Glove last year. I mean, Baseball Savant ended up ranking him as the best defensive second baseman in the game, which he doesn't make the highlight reel plays, but he makes the routine plays. And if you consistently make the routine plays, that's going to really help your value. There's a ton of value in that. But Colin Moran, Josh Bell, not good defenders at all. And Kevin Newman, I mean, he held the fort down, but he wasn't exactly good at shortstop either. I think that could kind of be fixed, though, whenever you look at, Brian Hayes and Will Craig and these expanded rosters, and there's going to be a designated hitter. So Moran and Bell could, rotate through that. It's going to be a rotating DH. I think the infield defense could improve a bit, but if you're really going to be starting Colin Moran and Josh Bell, third and first base every single game, that kind of defeats the purpose of having a really good, Gold Glove nominated worthy second baseman and really good defensive catchers. And the other one is the base running. That team could not run the bases last year. They were routinely they've been routinely the last couple of years one of the worst teams at going around. And it goes beyond, Colin Moran being slow as molasses. It's just they didn't do the things that you were supposed to do right. They got thrown out at home a lot. They weren't able to go from first to third on singles. It's little stuff like that. I think the new first base coach, Tariq Brock, I think he was hitting on some good things in spring training, a million years ago down in Bradenton that I think could be a step in the right direction. His teams always put up good base running numbers. But I'm glad to see that this new regime viewed that as an actual problem. I just don't think it's going to be great going into this year still, though.
I could talk about how there's no fifth starter, and that's an issue, and it really is an issue. But, I just kind of want to compound what you were talking about, and I agree 100% with all those things that you mentioned. For instance, middle infield and really infield defense in general is not good. It's below average. And my gosh, like you watch the middle infield try to turn two sometimes, especially when Adam Frazier's the one that's having to turn the play. It's just, it just looks so slow sometimes. And it just doesn't look like a professional baseball team in terms of skill level up the middle. It is what it is. The Pirates are what the Pirates are. But I have to say that the base running, I cannot believe how bad it is. And under Clint Hurdle, they had no idea, it seemed like, how to play small ball, station-to-station baseball, those cardinal rules that everyone learns from Little League. You never make the first or third out at third base. These are things that you're taught since you put a glove on your hand and you start playing it on the sandlot. And so I'm hopeful that under Sheldon and his staff that they put an emphasis and an onus on little things, because little things equate to big things in baseball. Sliding properly so you don't hurt yourself, Polanco. Things like that, because it's going to be vital. You can't give away when you don't have the power on the team. This isn't like the Yankees where they can mash home runs left and right. You're going to have to get guys in scoring position, and you're going to have to be smart on the base paths. You cannot give away runs, whether it's an out at home, an out at third. You have to play smart, and that's something that needs to improve. And was a really big weakness, in my opinion, under Clint Hurdle. So we'll see if that improves heading into 2020.
And I think the culture change that Shelton is bringing and how upbeat everyone was in spring training, because talking to some of the guys down there, one of the things that's really tough about doing base running drills and, actually caring about it in spring training is it's boring.
Yeah.
It's boring to jump from first to, get back, don't get picked off. We're going to run that. A lot of people, they said, Brock was making it fun. Brock was actually doing the drills with the rest of the guys, which they appreciated. They thought it was funny. It's something little like that. It's like, let's make it engaging. Let's make it part of making it an environment, a learning environment, is making an environment where it rewards you to learn, not just in performance, but it's enjoyable.
Yeah. Hey, if it's fun for them and they get it done and they learn how to handle themselves better on the base paths, that's a good thing.
So Baseball America released their top 100 prospects, an updated list with those in the draft. Nick Gonzalez is coming in without ever seeing a pitch in professional baseball, a very respectable 59th.
Hmm.
which is only 4 spots behind the Pirates' top prospect, Mitch Keller.
That's interesting.
This was a big draft, I feel like, for Ben Cherington and company. And I get the ridiculousness of, these guys immediately come in their top 100 prospects without, swinging a bat or doing anything. But that's a very good sign, in my opinion, that they find someone who immediately slots in as like a very good prospect. It wasn't exactly a hard find. A lot of people had him ranked as, one of the top 5 or so best players available in this draft. But that's impact talent. And there's going to be more impact talent, I feel like, with those pitchers. I think some of them could be on this top 100 list in a year or two as well.
You look at baseball, and it's so different than other sports in regards to the draft. And Baseball America is definitely one of those outlets that but these people are not just like spitting out garbage. I mean, that's Baseball America. They definitely know what they're talking about. But it's also been a while for the Pirate fans to hear really such a glowing endorsement about one of their picks. It's to me, from a layman's perspective, it's always been the Pirates take X, Y, and Z players, and this is why it was a stretch, and this is why it was considered one of the worst draft hauls of the draft. And so for the Pirates fan to hear this guy is legitimate, that's tremendous. That's awesome. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly how he develops, and it's awful. That's not awful, but, not having a farm system, not having minor league baseball this year. Yeah, they're going to have their sites and everything like that, but not having the ability to see, okay, where do they start his career? How does he move up? Does he get moved up in his rookie year? Does he stay at like low A or high A, whatever the case may be? Where do you see him in terms of his progression? I know we don't know, but if you were to guess, I mean, this is some high praise for this kid.
Yeah, we're going to see him somewhere in A-ball in 2021. 2021. Not going to be short season, to start off with. That's West Virginia. So I guess that means he's going to go to Greensboro first stop, which is impressive. Everyone says that, he has a shorter trajectory to the majors, and none of the Daniel Moscos type of way. Just like, no, he's going to be ready to be in the major leagues, in a year and a half, 2 years, 200 games. He's going to be good to go, ideally. So that, I think it's going to be a very quick ascension. I think next year he's going to start at a place like Greensboro. He'll get to Bradenton and maybe even Altoona by the end of the year. We'll find out. But going back to something else you said, because it's something I really hadn't thought that much about until you said it, about the last couple first-round draft picks the Pirates had. Like Quinn Priester, he's considered a fringe top 100 guy. He's a high school arm, raw. Okay, we'll go with that. But before that, it was Travis Swaggerty, who was a guy who they signed, because they thought, here's someone we could get under slot. Well, they did get him under slot, but not really by enough to justify, using the top 10 pick for that. Boz was a very raw high school pitcher who wasn't really considered much until he was traded to the Rays, and they, tweaked him a bit. Yeah. Will Craig, I know he's major league ready, but that was kind of an iffy pick at the time. This is really the first time that I think the Pirates have hit a pick where day one, after the draft, they're like, that is a good first-round draft pick since 2015, whenever they got Kevin Newman and Brian Hayes. That's more than a little interesting in my book.
Well, and let's be honest, right now, all we have to go off of is what he did in college, what he did in his summer ball, wherever he played. And you have to just go by the metrics that are available and you see what he can do. Unfortunately, like I said, with our current sports situation, we're not sure what he's going to do. But like you said, 2021, he starts in A-ball. Hey, we'll see how it goes. A lot of players can, accelerate their path to the major leagues, but it looks like Gonzalez is off to a good start. Good signing by the Pirates. Glad that he signed. It kind of got brushed under the rug with all the stuff that was happening with camp starting up,
You know what? He didn't even really seem to think much about it either. He's like, you know what? I went through 3 months of uncertainty and, how long the draft's going to be, where I'm going to go. These last 2 weeks, I just signed a piece of cake.
All right. Very good. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes for Gonzalez in college.